think about, the U.S. is just doing it all over again, and the world is watching and doing nothing.
Thank you for your time. And where are you from?
New York City.
New York City. And this is your vacation?
I'm in Japan for vacation and doing research.
Do you mind if I ask you, what do you do for a living?
I'm a journalist.
You're a journalist? So
Yeah.
What kind of journalist?
I do a lot of news, hard news. I've been writing a lot about the Israeli genocide of Gaza.
So you're doing journalism abroad about war?
Yeah. And economy and different things.
And you also?
No, I work as an editor in communications.
I see. Okay.
And she's a filmmaker.
Yeah.
You do filmmaking. Okay, thank God. Okay, so what's your impression about Hiroshima? So this is your first time to be?
There's kind of no words to explain the feeling of being here. I'm very grateful to have this experience. It's something that we've lived with our whole lives. We grew up with a fear of nuclear war. So I think it's very important to come to ground zero, because instead of it being some kind of image and some kind of abstract fear, here we feel it very viscerally when you come in person. And for me, this is an ongoing struggle to overcome horrific violence that nations perpetuate against each other. It's also very personal because I lost my mother recently. She's Japanese, and she went through World War II in Yokohama, and the family lost everything during the Yokohama air raid. So it's a combination of personal and greater grief for humanity. That's been my experience here today.
So many things came up to you.
Many things came up, from the personal to the universal sense of grief.
Your impression about Hiroshima?
Well, the city itself is wonderful, a lot of fun. It seems very young, but I know people don't want Hiroshima to just be about the atomic bomb, that there's much more about the city. But I think if you come from the United States, if you've never been here, of course that's all one really knows, if they know anything about Hiroshima. If I was to talk about how I feel about things, it would be a combination of just incredible sadness at the unnecessary loss of human life. I'm a student of U.S. history. That's what I do. That's what journalism is. It's called the first rough draft of history. And so I know a lot more about Hiroshima and the atomic bomb, and it was completely unnecessary. There was no need to drop the atomic bomb. It was basically it was the first shot of the Cold War. It was intended more as a threat to the Soviet Union. So that kind of just incredible sadness is also mixed with incredible anger at this is what the United States does. What's going on in Gaza is one of the most horrific genocides in history, and so to be here now and to think about, the U.S. is just doing it all over again, and the world is watching and doing nothing as the U.S. and Israel is in the process of exterminating 2 million human beings. People need to rise up against this terrible system, that American imperialism, and Japan is still kind of a servant to American imperialism in East Asia, unfortunately. And, I think it's, great that people are intent on remembering, but I'm afraid, that this century we'll see the use of nuclear weapons again, because there's so many weapons, so many countries have the weapons, and we're seeing basically the world destabilized socially, economically, and ecologically especially. And we're seeing worse and worse conflicts, and I think Gaza is basically Hiroshima was a warning for the 20th century, and and in a way it was a kind of a genocide because the U.S. was very genocidal towards the Japanese. The firebombing of Tokyo, of course, killed more initially, than the atomic bomb on Hiroshima. And I think there's an unbroken line from August 6, 1945 to the Gaza genocide, and that is going to be basically the event that defines the 21st century, because if the U.S. and Israel get away with it, we're going to see genocide after genocide.
Even after it happened in Hiroshima, the war is still going on around the world, in Gaza, in Russia, Ukraine.
Yeah.
It feels like the world is not learning from the history.
It's the powerful. I mean, I think your average person in the United States, 2/3 of Americans oppose the war. So, I mean, we need movements of people to rise up and end these horrible things. Otherwise, I'm afraid Hiroshima is not going to be the last place where nuclear weapons are used.
Thank you. The last question. Is there anything you want to say to your friends or family in your country about this experience in Hiroshima?
I think everybody should come. This has been one of the most significant, important experiences of our time in Japan. And so I would encourage everyone to come and to learn about the history and to spend some time reflecting. I think it's really our only hope is to have dedicated time where we think about these issues and recommit ourselves to, finding peaceful ways to coexist.
Yeah. Both of us were actually in New York City on 9/11. We watched it happen, and so that was terrible. But Americans are like, why us? And the problem is they don't learn from their history. And yes, it would be good if everyone was able to come here. But I think a more important thing even would be that if this was taught in America in the school system, that this is what happened. It was completely unnecessary, and the danger is just as it never goes away, of nuclear, as long as there are nuclear weapons, and we need to abolish all nuclear weapons.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Where are you from?
Colombia.
So what's your impression about Japan?
It's really big, and I think people is so kind. I have a little problem with Japanese because I don't know Japanese, but people help me a lot with find any place I want to go, and yeah, it's so kind.
So what's your impression about the museum?
I don't know how to say it, but it was impressive and makes me feel many emotions like sadness because the people was really hurt on the body and on the skin and many sad things around here in Hiroshima.
Did you learn history about Hiroshima in Colombia?
No, not really.
Maybe
But I know about the bomb, like the basic things.
the impression about the history has been different. I mean, you learned something from visiting this museum, this Hiroshima city.
Yes, I learned here many things in the museum that I don't knew it in Colombia. Like all the history of what happened with the atomic bomb and about what happened to the people, like specific. Also, not about the museum, but what I see here is the city because it's incredible how happened here with the bomb and what's right now like the city is really good
Yes.
for that reason.
So the last question, what do you want to say to people in Colombia or your friends about this experience in Hiroshima?
I want to say that they should come here and learn about history because it's really important and to know what happened here because I think this is a really beautiful city and this story is really important to learn and they should come here and travel here. Also in many cities around Japan.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Arigato.
ありがとうございます。Thank you for your time. Where are you from?
I'm from France.
So you traveling around Japan?
I live in Japan.
Ah, you
Yeah.
live in Japan.
I live in Tokyo.
What do you do for living?
So I go in many cities in
Yeah.
Japan
Uh-huh.
and I introduce Japanese culture or history
Uh-huh.
to French people
Ah, on what form? What platform?
on Twitch.
Twitch. And now you are filming.
I'm live streaming now
Wow.
from France.
Okay.
There is like 300 French people watching us now.
Oh, now it's on live.
Yes. It's
Okay,
live.
I didn't know that. But okay, thank you for your time. But so, what's your impression about Hiroshima?
So it's my first time in Hiroshima.
Yeah.
And I think it's a beautiful city.
Mm-hmm.
But every time I come here, like, I don't know, there's like a special atmosphere
Yes.
because of this museum or
Mm-hmm.
all the memorials in
Uh-huh.
the city. So I like it, but I feel like something heavy on my shoulder. I don't know how to say it.
Yeah.
Maybe you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. What was the impression about the museum?
I
How
mean,
did you feel?
It's my second time, and every time I feel like, like crying. So I feel like everyone should go there at least once,
Mm-hmm.
just to know
Mm-hmm.
about this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what to say, but like part of history.
So what do you think? Like, what do you learn from this experience? Here.
We all know that war and atomic bomb is not good, but coming here is like you can feel it deeper, like you can see what it is actually.
Is there anything you want to say to people, to your friends or family, or to your audience
About this museum,
about experience in Hiroshima?
I think you should come to Hiroshima
Mm-hmm.
for history and
Okay.
go to Miyajima maybe to change your mind.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.